What is up, everybody? Coach Juma here, and today we're going to break down why calorie counting doesn't work. You could be one of these people. I know I've talked to a lot of people like this where they've tried counting calories or downloaded MyFitnessPal for the first time and went through the process of counting calories for a period of time and didn't lose any weight. There's a number of reasons for that. As someone that advocates calorie counting, I can assure you it is definitely the best tool when you know how to use that tool. And that's really the main differentiator. Knowing how to use the tool objectively for yourself as opposed to using a tool blindly based on vague recommendations for what you should be following. But before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and join the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network. Hit the notification bell so you always get notified when we drop new videos. Again, we're dropping new videos every single week. We've been doing it for like 7 months straight now. I didn't think we could do it. You should join the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network to get access to a lot of exclusive content. I go live there frequently talking about different things to help you on your nutrition journey, and you get unrestricted access to me.
Best kind of access, though.
Unrestricted access to me to ask any questions you want. First and foremost, one of the main culprits for why calorie counting doesn't work is trying to fit yourself into a one-size-fits-all diet. So there are numbers thrown around for how many calories you should be eating that I don't know where they came from, to be frank. For women, this number is 1,200 calories a day. For men, it's usually 1,500 calories a day. If you're a smaller woman, around 100, 120 pounds, to lose weight, maybe you do need to get to 1,200 calories a day. But for most people that aren't that small, you really should be eating way more calories than that and still be losing weight at the same time. More often than not, because of the excessive restriction that comes with that and forcing yourself into a box that doesn't fit you, you're going to be experiencing a lot of different adaptations in your body that aren't going to be pleasant to go through, including lower energy, less desire to move, more general fatigue from training, which is going to impact your calorie burn. And beyond that, on a psychological level, having all that excessive restriction usually leads to overeating on the weekends, overeating in the evenings, and getting you out of that 1,200 calorie range and out of your deficit altogether in the first place. Right? And these overeating episodes don't get tracked. They don't get counted. And you don't have a full accurate picture of what you're actually doing. Trying to put yourself in a one-size-fits-all diet when you're a unique individual that has their own unique needs, their own unique preferences, their own unique desires and goals that they want to go through just doesn't make sense. To correct this mistake that people do and why it doesn't work is really just figuring out what you currently eat and how much you normally like to eat, what feels good for you to eat on a day-to-day basis. Track your food decision making without any goals and see what those numbers come out to be. How many calories do you average when you just eat what you want to eat? How much protein do you have on a day with the breakfast you prep, the lunch you prep, the dinner you have, right? And all the snacking in between. How much fiber do you end up having? How many calories do you end up eating? Know those numbers first. Know what you normally go to and turn to first. And then you can adjust your calorie intake, protein, or fiber intake accordingly to help you lose weight and get back on track. The second reason calorie counting doesn't work is similarly, people base their calorie counting off of calorie calculators or activity trackers. And we've talked about activity trackers in a video before. I don't remember which video it was, but no, okay. So there was a video, if you want to like watch all of them and figure out where you saw it, just watch all of them. Watching all of them will solve that answer. You get it 100%. But we talked about activity trackers and how they have such a big margin of error. None of them are accurate. The most accurate activity tracker can be off by as much as 30%. If you think you're burning 2,000 calories, if you're off 30%, you could be burning as little as 1,600 calories. I want to get it right for the people. I want to practice my math. Hold on. 2,000 times 10% is 200 times 3 is 600. You could be burning as little as 1,400 or as much as 2,600. And if you're basing it off the calculator, you could be eating way more than you're actually burning. If you think you're burning 2,000 calories, you eat 2,000 calories, but you're really only burning 1,400 calories, you're eating 600 extra calories. You do that for the span of a week, you're going to be over consuming 4,200 extra calories, right? Yeah, 42. And that's on quick math right there. Not reliable for you to base how much you should eat on a day-to-day basis. Oh, and the other one is calorie calculators, right? Calorie calculators are just generic formulas that put you in a one-size-fits-all box. I plug in my calorie calculator info, my height, my weight, my activity level, the amount of body fat percentage I have, right? I've done it on a few different calorie calculators. I've done it on, I think, 5 or 6, and the numbers ranged in a 700 calorie range. One calculator said I should eat 3,500 calories a day, and then another one said I should eat 2,800 calories a day. Huge range. Depending on which one I happen to type in, I could be overeating for my goals. I could be undereating for my goals. I could be right on the spot and not change the weight. Using these are unreliable. They can help you get a good starting point, but they shouldn't be the end all be all to your search. You should still do what we talked about in the first part of this and learn what you currently eat and how that affects your body weight and how it affects your biofeedback. When you understand your current eating habits and what normally feels good to you, what feels full to you, what is satiating for you, and what fuels you appropriately, you can make better decisions to put yourself in a calorie deficit and maintain that calorie deficit long term. But no calculator and no activity tracker is going to be doing that for you.
Do you want them to use that calculator as a base to start with? I feel like a lot of people do that.
So it's best to log what you're doing without any goals and expectations, right? That's gonna be the best thing. But it's hard for a lot of people because, you know, it's like there's nothing to aim for, you know? Yeah. So if you use a calorie calculator, I would prefer a calculator over an activity tracker for sure, 100%. If you use a calorie calculator and you find what your maintenance is, and then you aim for that caloric maintenance goal for a week and see how your weight changes, see how you feel, yeah, that would be something to work off. Don't use that. The way people use it wrong a lot of times is they'll take the calorie calculator and they'll automatically subtract 500 calories. But maybe what it was enough to put you in a deficit, right? Maybe it was too much, right? But you don't know until you try it out. Ideally, you take 2 weeks, but that's like too long for a lot of people. Ideally, you take a week and see how your weight fluctuates when you follow that to a T. You're able to make a more informed decision for your body as opposed to just a general decision. Shoes are a really good example. Different shoe companies have different sizes to a degree. You could say you're a size 12 or whatever, but some shoes run big, some shoes run small. You know, you won't know until you try it out for a week. See how your feet feel. If your feet hurt you, you need bigger shoes. Another reason calorie counting doesn't work is because people will plan their calories by day instead of by meal, logging food by food that they're eating, and they get to the end of the day, they get to the midday even, and they ran out of calories. So now they're restricted for what they can have the rest of the day, and ultimately they're going to end up being too hungry. By the end of the day, your willpower is really low, and you're going to have overeating at night. Whereas if you aim by meal, you know what to aim for by meal while still maintaining calories left for the rest of your day. So if you're gonna have 3 meals per day, that's what you normally have, right? Not accounting for snacks, and your goal is 2,000 calories, it's safe to give yourself 600 calories per meal, give or take. Your goal is 120 grams of protein per day. You can aim for 40 grams of protein per meal, right? These are rough guidelines for you to follow meal by meal to help you hit your goal appropriately. Now, if you have a meal that is a little under in calories, a little under in protein, well, your next snack or your next meal, you know, needs to balance that out, right? You have a little bit of extra flexibility. Your daily total of calories is a sum of multiple decisions that accumulate by the end of the day. Meal calories is the sum of basically one decision of what you're going to eat that meal. Right? It's a lot easier to control. It's a lot easier to take a hold of and make it actionable and progressive to your goals. You can adjust as the day goes on. It's a lot easier to manage. You don't have to play catch up at the end of the day, play macro Tetris at the end of the day, or think about what the hell, where'd all my food go? Another reason calorie tracking doesn't work is that you don't account for all of the calories that you're actually consuming. Say you're eating 1,500 calories a day, and maybe you log the things you want to log, right? The things that look good. This happens a lot. You log all the healthy food you have, but you won't log the drinks that you had. You won't log your Starbucks order in the morning. You won't log the dessert that you took off your kid's plate, the mini snacks in between. Maybe you had a handful of nuts, right? You're not gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it.
I really set you up there. Alley-oop, you're just gonna leave the ball in the air like that?
I'll leave it in the air, dog.
All right.
I'm not taking the bait, bro.
Okay.
I'm not taking the master bait.
That was impressive. For instance, grabbing a handful of nuts, right? Or mixed nuts, cashews, whatever. Those are really high in calories. They're high in fat. It's a really quick decision that you make without even thinking, but you don't track it. You're not counting all of the calories that you have in the day. And just these little things, that's 600, 700 calories extra that you didn't account for. You might think you're calorie tracking, right? And you are calorie tracking to a degree, but you're not calorie tracking everything. And that's gonna throw off your data. It's gonna throw off what you think you should be doing, and it's gonna get you stressed because it looks like you should be doing all the right things, but really things just weren't logged accurately. Another thing that happens is logging complex dishes as generic logs that you find on MyFitnessPal. I have a client currently that eats a lot of African food. And to this point, over the last couple of weeks, she's been logging it generically. She just searches the name of the food, chooses the middle average of, you know, all the options, 900 calorie options, 500 calorie options. She chooses like the 700 calorie options and logs that, right? And calls it a day. Over the past couple of weeks, we've challenged her to make it as a recipe in MyFitnessPal, where she inputs all the ingredients that she's doing to make that food, logging it that way. It's a lot more accurate. We found that she was eating actually 400 extra calories a day that weren't accounted for on average between the different dishes that she was having. And because now she went and logged it more accurately, she is more in control of her calories, and now the weight is coming off much easier for her because we have accurate readings for what is happening. You don't know how off things are until you take the time to track them accurately. And the cool thing is, you know, these are recipes she makes regularly for her family. She creates the recipe on MyFitnessPal. She creates her version of the recipe on there. And now every time she makes it, it's set. She knows her exact recipe is going to be there, and it's going to be the most accurate way to log it. It took a little extra work to do it the first time she made it, the first time she made the recipe, but every other time after that, it's there and it's accounted for, and we know it's going to be accurate because it's her recipe, right? So making sure you log things as accurately as possible, even if it's a complex dish, a cultural dish, an ethnic dish, swapping it out from the generic log that's in MyFitnessPal to your specific recipe, if you can, will be really helpful. The next thing that ruins calorie counting is eating out too often. There's a lot of things that are variable every time you eat out. You're going to Chick-fil-A, you go to Chick-fil-A 7 days a week. Different people are preparing the food every single day. People are going to be generous with different portions, right? There's going to be a different amount of oil used. There's going to be a different kind of bread used or a different size of the bread. Even though Chick-fil-A has their menu, calorized, nutrition factored, it's not always going to be accurate, and that's true for every single restaurant. And the more often you have restaurant food, the higher the degree of error is going to be, and the less likely you're going to be in a calorie deficit because of that. It's not to say you shouldn't eat out, but having it once a day, multiple times a day, is probably too much. There's too much room for error there to accurately and effectively lose weight consistently. The more home-cooked meals or pre-prepared meals that you have, the more accurately your calorie tracking is going to be, the more effective calorie counting is going to be for your goals, and the easier it is going to be for you to lose weight. And actually the last one, I told you that was the last one, this is the real last one, kind of summing it up more appropriately, is just eyeballing portions and not taking the time to measure it accurately. You can think that, oh, this is 500 calories, right? But in reality, it could be as much as 900 calories. I've personally gone through that feeling multiple times. When I found out what a real serving of cereal was, it blew my mind. I've never eaten cereal the same way again. I still eat it, you know, in the portion that I want to eat it, but it definitely changed how I do it while dieting. Take the time to use a food scale and weigh out the portions of the foods you're eating so that you know that, hey, this is actually 500 calories and I'm not just guessing it's 500 calories. The more you know, the more accurate your calorie counting is going to be, the more likely your results are going to happen, right? It's a very simple domino effect. It takes a little bit of extra effort, but it's worth it in the end to have the flexibility that you want, to have the freedom with food that you want, and to have the education long term over what these different foods and what the portions look like too. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, join the Stupid Fit Fam Mighty Network to get more exclusive content, to get more access to helpful tips and tricks and strategies for you. And until next time, stay stupid.